Let's take a very closer look at the third eye, or what you call the pineal gland. But before we talk about that, there's always something that I made it very clear to every single one of you, okay? I explained what this particular eye is when I was talking about healing generational bloodlines. I made it very clear that everything in the entirety of existence is one particular eye. Every universe is one particular eye. But for you to understand the deepest context of what I'm about to come and talk to you about, the representation of what your pineal gland is, we need to take a step backwards. I need to take you back to when you close your eyes. Okay? I need to take you back into the darkness. Most of you actually don't understand the deepest context when I'm always telling you that everything that the spirit is, okay, isn't something that you can be able to interpret it without the form of what you call science, okay? What you call the spirit, okay, encompasses everything that you people call abraxas, okay? This particular abraxas is the representation of what the spirit essence is. The spirit essence is when you close your eyes, or what represents the totality of the beginning itself. When you talk about the beginning there was darkness, and out of the darkness came light. This particular light is talking about Sophia. Okay? Some of you like to name things, okay? You like to put things on names and then to be able to compress it to a particular level that the understanding will be much easier for you to be able to cooperate. Because I made it very clear, when it comes to what the spirit is, the spirit doesn't have letters, okay? The spirit doesn't have numbers. The spirit doesn't have symbols. The spirit is absolutely everything and nothing at the same time. When you close your eyes, how many letters do you see? When you close your eyes, how many numbers do you see? When you close your eyes, how many symbols do you see? You always have to cause a particular kind of chain reaction inside of your own being to actually be able to visualize a particular letter being of A, or being of B, or being of C. You have to actually put your mind onto a particular point to be able to access whether it is 1, it is 2, or it is 5. You have to be able to put your mind into a particular context that allow you to depict the meaning of this particular symbol, or this symbol, or any other symbol that exists in this entire cosmos. So I want to put it simply for you to understand. What you call spirit can only be interpreted by what you call science. Okay? So science here is what represents the material form of everything in existence, encompassing what you call letters, encompassing what you call numbers, encompassing what you call symbols. Science is the only evident interpretation of what you call the spirit. Without science, there's nothing like bowl that you can eat from. Without science, there's nothing like food for you to even be able to process and then to eat. There's nothing like clothes. There's nothing like lights. There's nothing like this. There's nothing like that. All these whiteboard markers and everything that we are using came as a result of being able to analyze what the spirit is and then to use it to produce an outward outcome of what the reality is, as creation of this particular shirt, the bangles, and then the pen that I'm holding right now. Okay? So when you are talking about the spirit, you are talking about the very beginning itself. So in the beginning, what happened? In the beginning, what is the beginning? Because they make you understand that the beginning is only one particular aspect of form. But I can tell you very vehemently that when it comes to the darkness, okay, out of the darkness came the contribution of light. Out of Abraxas came Sophia. Okay? Put it in a particular context that the understanding will be easier. Out of the darkness, out of Abraxas came Sophia. And out of Sophia came the creation of what you call the angels, and then the demons or the deviants. Okay? Came the creation of the angels and then the deviants. The light being torn into two particular forms. Okay? And then the creation of man. Man is the one being that enhancing both the angel and then the demon spark inside of themselves. So you as a man, you are the darkness itself, you are the light of the demon, and you are the light of the angel. You are the three forms of things. So from the very beginning itself, there's only one particular line. Okay? There's only one particular timeline. Everything exists in this. And from that one particular timeline came the creation of various timelines that sprout out of the darkness. So this is what you call Sophia. Okay, these extensions of the darkness is what you call Sophia. Do you understand what I'm saying? So in this particular darkness, in this particular domain, I can tell you very clearly that when it comes to the beginning of creation, everything that deals with the outward representation of yourself is from the inside of your representation of yourself that it has meaning. You understood very clearly when I was explaining the I. Okay? You understood very clearly when I was explaining this particular I. I told you that this particular point is what represents the middle of yourself. This particular point is the part that reflects the information for you to know. And this part of yourself is what reflects reality. Okay? I made that very clear. So this part of yourself is what you call Abraxas. Abraxas is not a personification of a particular deity. Okay, it's talking about the wholeness or the wholeness of everything. It is not just talking about the creation of earth. No. Okay, I made it very clear. Earth is one single universe. It's like one single eye. Earth is like one single eye. We'll open it deeply when we get there. So this particular point of yourself is this particular part. The part that has the information to everything that Sophia is. Sophia is this particular part. Sophia is the one that came out of the darkness. The light representation is what we give Sophia. Sophia is the one that is able to absorb the light from the darkness and then interpret it into a particular information form for man, for you being a man to be able to understand. I want you to look at this part of yourself. Let's represent the darkness as the top, this part of yourself as the top. Okay, so from this particular top part of yourself came the creation of what you call light. This is that darkness part of yourself. This is the creation form of what you call light. This is the first timeline. This is it. Okay, so from this particular timeline came the extensions of what you call the roots. Okay, the roots are the extensions of me telling you here. The extensions of light. Light grows in different forms. Okay, it's like putting a particular stone in this place. When you want to see the refraction of light, okay, you have to put a prism in this particular place. A prism is this one particular timeline. Okay, a prism is this one particular timeline of yourself. When you look at the representation of what your eye is, I made it very clear that it is represented in two particular forms. Your eye has three particular major levels. The first level is the black part. The second level is the part that interprets color for you to get. And the third part is the white part. Do you understand what I'm saying? So when it comes to the darkness, when it comes to the representation of this particular darkness, you manifested as light. That light manifestation is what you call Sophia. Okay? That light manifestation is what you call Sophia. Because Sophia is the existence of light itself, the evidence of what complete light represents out of that particular darkness. Okay? And in light, you understand that light has a higher form of vibration and light also has a lower form of vibration. That is the creation of them telling you about angels and then demons. Okay? Sophia is the one here that branch. The branch of Sophia is the one that is the evil one and the one that is good. That is the two forms. And I made it very clear in my countless explanations that the angels and then the devils, they were in constant war. They were in constant war. But what you people do not understand is that the shadows, okay, of what you call the deviants have more power or more connection to the source itself, which is Abraxas. Negativity always has a way of destroying things very easily than creativity. You understand? So in the books, they would like to make you understand that angels were the first form to be created. And I made it very clear, when they are talking about angels, don't just dismiss the fact that they are talking about beings that are created of light. No, because all true darkness, be it the deviants or the angels, they all came from one particular light source, which is Sophia. I made it very clear that you people gave birth to the darkness. Okay, everything about your fear, everything about your regret, everything about your self-blame, everything about your shame, all of these particular things also has something you call joy, happiness, sharing, caring, enjoyment, fulfillment, purpose. All those ones encompasses what you call light. Do you understand this? So the first form of creation here are the deviants. The deviants were the first ones to pick after the likeness of the darkness. Okay? The deviants were the first ones to pick after the likeness of the darkness. So out of the darkness came the creation of everything. This particular creation, okay, was chaos. This particular creation was chaos because the deviants or the devils or what you call the demons, they were the ones that were destroying every other universe that came out of the darkness. Okay? They were destroying everything. They were destroying worlds. And that was when the angels were created. That was when a certain particular group form of energies were created to serve as an antibiotic or serve as a countermeasure or a counter soldiers to prevent these particular beings from devouring everything. Do you understand what I'm saying? So the angel's purpose was to prevent these people or these beings from evolving and then destroying everything on this particular plane of existence. This is the plane of existence. To prevent them from destroying everything. So the duties of the angels are beings that are created to keep the devils in line. Now here comes the problem. When it comes to the creation of man, okay, you as the third factor, they needed to understand that this universe needed balance. And the only way to bring balance is to combine the shadow and then combine the light into one particular form. The combination of the light and then the darkness will give you the manifestation of what you call human. Okay, we'll give you the manifestation of what you call human. I made it very clear that from the very beginning itself, you wearing this particular persona. Okay, you wearing this particular persona. When I'm talking about you coming out of the darkness as light, light in its purest form is what you call a pearl. Okay. Light in its purest form is a condensed manner, it's a condensed spiritual essence into one particular form. That is what you call a pearl. Okay? Mami Grace usually calls you people the pearls, the pearls, the pearls. This is the beginning of the pearls. Out of the darkness, the first light to experience itself is Sophia. Sophia is the pure pearl. Okay? So we are going to dig back into that. But for now, let's continue with this. Okay, so when it comes to the representation of what the spirit is everything. But for you to understand the spirit, we must break the spirit down into various forms, as you call it, as letters, as numbers, as symbols, and as names. Okay? What you call God in this particular tribe, another tribe they are going to call him Mau. What you call the devil in this particular tribe, another tribe they'll call him Sasabonsam. What you call this one in this particular, there are various names that varies across the entirety of this particular world that is still depicting the same information about what you are. So I'm telling you that when you are always looking at the names of things, when you are always looking at the numbers of things, when you are always looking at the symbol of things and you are interpreting it, you will not understand the fullest context. You need to go back to the very beginning without symbols, without letters, without numbers. Okay? And to understand that, you need to go within. Most of you out there, you are saying you are on this awakening journey. You are struggling and you are not seeing change. You are not seeing this. You are not seeing that. Most of you want results quickly. Do you know how many times reincarnations that you've done? Okay? Regaining your memory isn't something that comes by way of you saying, I'm ready. No. When you are ready, then that simply means that you found a balance between the up part of yourself and the down part of yourself. Knowledge will not come to you. The wisdom will not flow. Sophia will not give you her essence until she realizes that you have found balance. Most of you are just seeking because you actually feel like there's a particular rule to it. Once I do this, what work seeker is saying, I should do this. And do this, that work seeker is saying, I should definitely be able to arrive at point C. That is not how the universe works. I can give you the layout, but when it comes to the journey, you must learn to find balance between these particular two, and that is how you delve deeply. So let's go. So when you look at this particular timeline, okay, this is the beginning frequency of everything. So this particular timeline came the creation of what you call the angels and then the devils. So it becomes like this, okay, and then like this. Okay, this is the first form of everything. You start here as A, and this becomes point B. This becomes C, and this becomes D. This becomes the east, and this becomes the west. This becomes the north, and this becomes the south. That is how everything began. Okay, this is exactly how everything began. When you look at here, I made it very clear this is where abraxas is. That is where the first beginning form of frequency is. Projecting itself to this particular light. You understand? This particular light is what you call Sophia. Okay? And out of Sophia came the creation of two beings. You have the upper ones as the one you call angels, and you have the lower ones as what you call the devils or the deviants. This is the beginning. So for you to have any understanding of what the spirit is, first of all, the interpretation of what the spirit is represented by symbolism. It's symbols. Okay, before the creation of languages, before the creation of names, before the creation of architecture, before the creation of any form of design, it started as a form of symbols. When you look at your elements don't speak numbers, your elements don't speak figures, they speak symbolism. All the movement of the ocean is moving like this. Every form of the animals or every form of creation of the first three primary elements, fire, water, and then earth, they are moving in this particular pattern or in this particular pattern. Okay? Or in this particular pattern. Okay? They are either moving at a wavy line or they are moving at this symmetric way of movement. Okay? That is how everything began. That is how everything is. So through the studies of this particular thing, you will understand that from the Big Bang or from the beginning of what abraxas is the point that represents the middle. And from that particular middle came another circle, okay, that is representing the creation form of the beings, the first form of the beings. And from that circle came another circle depicting the creation of man. Okay, so when you look at this is your protons, this is your neutrons, and then your electrons. Okay, these are the three basic forms of creation of yourself. This is where you get the triangle form. This triangle is this way, and then you move that way, and then you come this way. You will get this particular triangle. That is the beginning frequency of everything. Divine feminine and divine masculine. Your chakras depicting itself as a representation of Sophia in the middle. Do you understand? This is how the exchange of light is. When I was telling you, okay, about your eye, this is it. Okay, this is the wavy form. This is how energy moves. From this one particular point, energy moves like this. And I told you the vibrations or the levels of vibration. It can be vibrating at a higher frequency, it can be vibrating at a medium frequency, and it can definitely be vibrating at a low frequency. These are the three forms of what you call the elementals. That is your fire, that is your water, and that is your earth. Okay, so when you combine all these particular three elements, okay, what kind of identification will you give it to them? There's one specific thing inside of this world that combines all these particular three elements into one particular form of identity. Do you understand? When you look at the beginning, out of the darkness, Earth didn't just start as this. Okay? Earth didn't start as this. From the very beginning itself, you were pure pearl. Okay? When I talk about pure pearl, the entire planet of what you call Earth was an entire one pearl. And within that particular pearl exist energies that has taken a specific form. Okay? Out of the darkness, you were the first pearl to be created. I'm talking about the 9 etheric melanated. Later on came the 6 etheric melanated. This is the beginning form. Okay? So from here, the pearl that was created, the earth form that existed here, okay? existed these particular beings, okay, that are made up of pure cosmic light. They were all connected to every other dimension that came into being, to every form of reality that came into being, to every word that came into being. Okay, so from this point of 0 all the way to this point of 1, okay, from this point of 0 all the way to this point of 1, there exist countless realities, multiple realities. Earth is just one particular eye among an infinite pool of eyes. Okay, That is why, like most of you, you say when you take the drugs or when you do this, you usually see a particular picture with many eyes opening your hand, eyes opening all around you. Those particular eyes represented universes. Okay, they are representing a universe. All of you, this particular line from 0 all the way to 1, okay, it's an entire galaxy. It's an entire, you are movement of energy. Okay, energy moving in and energy moving out. That is the correspondence of everything that moves. From 6 to 9, from 9 to 6, that is how energy moves. Constantly. Do you understand what I'm saying? I want you to take a look at every symbol that you've come across. Okay? I want you to look at every symbol that you came across, be it the Adinkra. Okay, the Adinkra symbol. This symbol is the depiction of what the spirit is. The Adinkra symbol is not just one. There are infinite number of them. Okay, and when you people start to upgrade yourself, okay, we'll get deeply into each of the symbols. I made it very clear that the entire symbols of the Adinkra isn't just belonging to the Ashanti people or belonging to the Ewe people or belonging to the South Africans or belonging to the Ethiopians. No, all these particular symbols was a depiction form of you in both three particular forms, as the fire, as the water, and as the earth. So when it comes to the physical representation of them, that is the mind, the soul, and then the body, the three aspect part of yourself. All these particular symbols of the Adinkra is grouped into three basic forms. Okay, all the symbols of the Adinkra, when you look at what the eye is, okay, I drew the eye of Horus. Okay, when you look at the eye of Horus and you look at the Adinkra symbol, you have symbols like this, that looks like this, and then like this. Okay, let me get it clearly. You have symbols like this, and then you have symbols like this with the eye in the middle. Okay, with this particular place being pointed and this particular place being pointed, they are showing you the variations of the 3 points of self. This first point representing set A, this first point representing B, and this point representing C. These particular symbols is in the Adinkra. Okay, and when you look deeply, there are others too that looks like this, and then like this with the eye in the middle with one particular eye rays coming like this. When you look at ancient Egypt, like them showing you the eye on top. Okay, the eye on top with stretches like hands that are coming from the sun, that people are here and they are doing like this to receive something, like they are receiving something from the sun. They are actually depicting this particular symbol. Every single one of those symbols is arranged in the frequency forms according to your level of the mind, according to your level of the soul, and according to your level of the body. So you have to take a deeper context look. Okay, you have to look deeply in order to understand. These are two various forms of yourself. You have the length, you have the width, okay, and then you have the height. Those are the three things. You have one on your left, you have one on your right, and you have one in the middle. The middle part of yourself, I already explained, represents the depiction of what your DNA is. That is your DNA cell. That is the 8 of the middle. Okay, I explained how your DNA rolled all the way from the ground, all the way to the heaven, and from with you at the middle of the all. So you have to understand this in a much simple manner. All the symbols is talking about you. Every single one of them is a depiction of you in its entireness. Because in the beginning, out of the darkness came this particular 3 frequencies of the fire, of the water, and then the earth. When you combine all these 3 things, you get something that flows inside of this world that you call magma. Okay, you have something you call molten magma. Molten magma is pure fire. Okay, that it is combined in water that flows like the earth. So all these 3 particular frequencies, okay, can be found in molten magma. All right. So when we start talking about you being pearls and what came about the destruction of your world as the first that it turned into a particular star system, because when pearls begins to cool, okay, when a particular pure pearl begins to cool, then it begins to turn, its skin color begins to change. Okay, from a pure itself of essence of what light is, it begins to dim. It begins to pick a particular frequency, and that is what you people call melanin. Okay, melanin begins to decrease. It begins to depreciate. That is you falling down from consciousness. Okay, so your world as pearl, you as a light being, your physical bodies were destroyed, but your spirit essence existed in the form of melanin. Okay, drifting through space and time, waiting for that particular world to pick another vessel. Look, when I'm going to speak about this particular world, this wasn't the first time that they are telling you that the world is about to be destroyed. The world is about to be destroyed. Okay, this world has been destroyed countlessly. This world has been destroyed a lot. But the major events that I always make it very clear is that not the entirety of this universe is the one that always gets destroyed. The universe has been destroyed 2 times already. But when it comes to Earth, Earth has been destroyed countlessly. Okay? Earth has been destroyed countlessly. And when I told you, when I talk about Earth, I'm not just talking about the entire globe. Okay? When I'm talking about Earth, I'm not just talking about the entire globe. Listen to what Earth is. Okay? So, look at this. This is the entirety of the Earth. Okay? This is a representation of the globe. I made it very clear that this aspect part of yourself is the part that interprets color. Okay? This part of yourself is the part that interprets color. This part of yourself in the middle is the black spot. The blank spot that sucks in the light. Okay? The blank spot that sucks in the light. And I made it very clear that from the out of this particular darkness came light. And out of that particular light came darkness. And out of that particular darkness came light. That is how everything is. Okay? That is exactly how everything is. Push and then pull, top and then down. So when this particular part of yourself sucks in the light into the black spot of yourself, it goes beyond the part that represents color. Okay? This part of yourself represents color. It goes way beyond the part that represents color, all the way to the meridian, okay, or the equator, in the middle of the equation of what your eye is. It gets to the middle. This is the middle part of your eye. So when it gets to this middle part of yourself, it reflects. When I talk about refraction, I'm talking about the conversion of energy, or that when light begins to bend itself. It's like this. When light flows like this and you put a particular prism here, when you put a particular crystal here, what happens is that when the light hits the crystal, then it begins to change forms. Okay? This light begins to pick different forms. You understand? So when it hits this part of yourself, then it is going straight into the darkness. Okay? This light goes straight into the darkness. So the darkness is what is representing the information about everything that you are as light. So this particular part of yourself is representing different universes. Let me be very clear. This whole thing that you see, okay? This whole thing that you see, that is what Earth is. The entirety of the globe, okay? That is what Earth is. This part of yourself represents what you call Earth. Okay, this is what Earth is. Let me just say, okay, this is an entire universe. That should make things very easily. This is an entire universe. This part of yourself that represents the light, that is what Earth is. Okay, only this portion, that is Earth. Now, when you go further, this is another universe. 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 Do you understand? This is how the entirety of this particular globe is. Okay? This is the entirety of an entire universe. You are only living in one particular Earth. You are living in one particular Earth. You are one particular single being. Okay? You are one particular single being. This is you as a universe, a one entire being. Okay? When it comes to your stomach, you have something you call liver. You have something you call lungs. You have something you call heart. You have something you call pancreas. Okay? So all these particular centers of yourself that exist inside of you are depictions of different cells that are all one, that are all supporting the works of what you are as a single universe. The functions of the liver is different from the functions of the lungs. The functions of your heart is different from the functions of your pancreas. But they are all working in their own perspective or their own responsiveness in order to cause you to keep standing, in order to keep the universe from working. Do you understand what I'm saying? So when it comes to these particular cells that exist in the liver, this particular part of yourself, okay? If you take this particular part, that is Earth. When you look at the representation of Earth, Earth is like this, okay? Okay, I want you to look at this. Okay, this is a representation of what the globe is. This is what I've just drawn. So this particular globe, when you are talking about an entire universe, you are talking about the known and then the unknown universes. And when you are talking about the known universes, you are only talking about Earth. None of you has ever gone outside of Earth. You are only existing at the part of yourself that interprets light. So you see all these particular maps, okay? Every single map, be it North Asia, North America, South America, Africa, all of them are one particular community. They weren't torn like this. They weren't torn into South Africa, South America, Northeast Legon, Southeast Legon. That is not how it is. All these particular fractured maps represent one. They were all one in the beginning. Okay? They were all one in the beginning. They all represent Earth. They all represent Earth. This is the ice wall. This is the one thing that is covering this wall. When you move outside of this particular wall, this exists another wall. Okay? Let me wear my hand.